Hello, everybody, and welcome to our channel. I'm Mark,
And I'm Rob.
and today we're going to talk about another delusional take from Elle Duncan. So, hey, if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, please do so. Hit the notification bell when you do so you get notified of our next video. So, if I seem a little out of it here today, Rob, or not very bright today, it's because I lost some brain cells. I listened to Elle Duncan too long. And they have this new podcast that she has with this guy named Gary. It was 37 minutes long, but I didn't listen to the whole thing because it turned into other things. But she talked about comparisons between Paige Becker and Caitlin Clark. And I'll start out with the stupidest one that she had, the most unbelievable, delusional take I've ever heard in my life. She said, and because she said, I firmly believe, you must know, this must be right. She said, Paige has been hampered with devastating injuries. I firmly believe that the biggest star on the planet would be Paige Bueckers if she had stayed healthy throughout her college run instead of sort of stopping and starting. Not the biggest name in college women's basketball, not the biggest name in women's basketball, not the biggest name in basketball, not the biggest athlete in the U.S., the biggest athlete on the planet. Bigger than Lionel Messi if she had just stayed healthy, Rob.
Yeah.
She's not even the biggest name in college basketball right now. She's like tied with Juju.
I'm changing her name to, we're going to change her name to Elle Duncan because that's really, I mean, what outlandish outtake this to say something like that for an athlete who's been hurt. I mean, she already contradicted herself by saying she's been hurt, but she's saying that, well, if she didn't get hurt, well, Mark, if I had played harder basketball a little bit harder, maybe I would have been an NBA player.
There's no possibility that would exist. She drew 500 the other day, in the Bahamas. So, and she wasn't drawing as many people and didn't have as many highest television views as Caitlin Clark her freshman year. Okay, so before she got injured, and then she came back last year, and first of all, she goes to UConn, so she has that advantage. They have a bigger national following than any other women's college basketball team. And then last year, she played the whole year last year. And guess what? She didn't move the needle last year, and she was playing great. And she still didn't move the needle, and Connecticut was successful in the tournament. In fact, Rob, in every round before they played in the Final Four, Caitlin Clark outdrew her on television, in television views, and actually in attendance too, in the round of 64, the round of 32, the round of 16, and in the Elite Eight. And the reason I know this is because Caitlin Clark set a record for those rounds in the history of women's basketball every time she stepped on the court last year. So she was a way bigger name than Paige Bueckers last year in terms of television draw. And Utah had the most number of fans, and also the most number of fans in away games. So she completely outdrew Paige Bueckers. Yeah, and then we know what happened in the WNBA, Rob.
Yeah. So now this year, we're going to see what's going to happen. She's playing well this year, but she's not playing. She's not the best in the planet. She's not even the best in world women's basketball. How can she be the best on the planet? She's not even the best
even if she was the best, Rob, she's not a draw like Caitlin Clark, and she never was going to be. The injuries didn't prevent her from being the biggest draw. She doesn't have a super exciting game. She has a nice game. It's very efficient. It's exciting somewhat, but it's not super exciting. It's not Caitlin Clark exciting. It's not even the same ballpark. So why would she be a bigger star than Caitlin Clark if she's not as exciting as Caitlin Clark? And honestly, she's not as good. Let's go back to the freshman and sophomore years. Sophomore year, she got injured. She played 16 games, I think she ended up playing. So she got injured halfway through the season. But freshman year, she was maybe this much better than Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark fans think Caitlin Clark was the best player. But Paige Bueckers won player of the year. Fine. She was this much better. Sophomore year, Caitlin Clark got better her sophomore year. And she was runner-up in the player of the year. Paige Bueckers didn't win because she was injured. She was ineligible. But Leah Boston won. But Caitlin Clark got better her sophomore year. Her passing improved. She worked out the weight. She had strength. She was better her sophomore year. And junior, senior, she kept getting better every year. There's a reason that Caitlin Clark surpassed Paige Bueckers. It wasn't just because Paige Bueckers got injured. It's because Caitlin Clark kept getting better and better. She wasn't stagnant. Her passing improved every year. her leadership, in terms of how she made her teammates better, improved every year. And that's why she became a better player than Paige Bueckers. And now she played 1 year in the WNBA.
With Caitlin Clark, she's brought in people who've never watched women's basketball, college or WNBA. Paige Bueckers didn't have that type of charisma to bring in that type of audience. Like you said, she wasn't drawing people in because if you saw Paige Bueckers, yeah, decent player, really good. She's going to be a very good WNBA player, but she doesn't have that draw power that Caitlin Clark did. She's not. People are not breaking out and going, "Oh my gosh, who's this Paige Bueckers woman? Who is she?"
Elle Duncan saying that.
Oh yeah. She.
After I watched this podcast with her host, I thought she was going to propose to Paige Bueckers. Everything she said about her was like a 10 out of 10. Everything was. Let me just tell you what else she said about her. First of all, she was asked who the face of the league was for college basketball. Now, the blacks have been saying, announcers and podcasters are saying unequivocally, Juju Watkins is the face of the league. And we're both saying, no, it's pretty much tied between the two of them, which is reasonable. She said Paige Bueckers was. So not Juju. She may have to apologize for that for next week. But she did say that, Rob. So I will say that. Now, because Paige is okay with the black crowd because of her ESPY speech, as we all know. So it's okay for her to support her and not Caitlin Clark, because Caitlin Clark hasn't said anything like that yet. This is what she said about her. She said that she's that cool in person. She's that chill. She's that smart and wise beyond her years. And she handled the pressure brilliantly in terms of, the basketball pressure and stuff. She said that about Caitlin Clark too, but she didn't say that about Caitlin Clark's personality at all. She only said it about Paige Bueckers. So she didn't say anything positive about Caitlin Clark other than the fact that she also handled the pressure well. So then she talked about the shoe deal.
Well, I don't think. Yeah, real quick, Mark. I don't think she's going to handle. I mean, she's not going to get when she comes into WNBA. She won't have the near pressure that Caitlin Clark did. Not at all. So if she messes up, if she has a bad game, or if she has some turnovers, there's not going to be people beating down the door and going after her. Oh, she's a fly-by-night person. I told you. There's not going to be that kind of pressure on her. So she doesn't have to even worry about that compared to Caitlin Clark.
Yeah, not as much as Caitlin Clark, but there's going to be pressure on her, Rob, because they wanted to replace Caitlin Clark. So she's going to feel the pressure because people like Elle Duncan and probably people in the WNBA who find her very acceptable because she, talked about her white privilege and all that stuff. Well, she didn't really say it, but by her speech, she's basically was saying that. But anyways, and then she talked about the shoe deal and how Caitlin Clark fans were upset because Paige shoe came out first. And, Caitlin Clark was signed 11 months before Paige in terms of the NIL deal, not necessarily the shoe deal. So there's a reason why they're upset, because why should Paige just come out first? So she makes it sound like Caitlin Clark fans have nothing to complain about when they do. So, yeah, there's a complaint there. Why are you pretending it's not a valid complaint? I'm not saying it diminishes Paige or these shoes diminish Caitlin, but it's still a valid complaint. So quit pretending it's not. It's just stupid.
And Caitlin's shoes are coming out 2 years from now. What's up with that? 2 years from now? Okay.
I don't know. Rob, she also said that anytime one of them does something really well, there's an instant comparison to the other for some reason. I have some reasons as to why, but then she didn't expound on that. You want to know why, Rob? Because people compare Caitlin Clark from Paige because they're trying to replace Caitlin Clark. That's why. But she didn't. That's not her reason why, but that's the real reason why. So she said that, and I listened to Chicks Dig Scar podcast, and he made a really good point. He said Caitlin Clark fans don't compare her to anyone, including Paige Bueckers, because there is no one as good as Caitlin Clark in terms of being a superstar, if you include popularity into it as well as ability. So we don't even do that. He said he made a really good point.
He's correct. He's correct. I don't see any of the Caitlin Clark fans comparing her to Angel Reese, to Paige Bueckers, to Breanna Stewart. None of them have compared themselves when they talk about Caitlin Clark. They just go, she's Caitlin Clark. She's great. She's a good ball player. She's phenomenal.
It's a one-way comparison with Juju, Paige, and Angel Reese because they're trying to replace Caitlin Clark. So Caitlin Clark fans don't compare them. No, it's only when they try to compare it Caitlin Clark fans respond to.
Right.
I got to give him a shout out because he worded it really well. He probably worded it better than I do, but that's what he said. He said, we don't even compare him to other people. We know she's number one. We know she's the biggest star.
Well,
Why would we have to try to compare it to someone else?
Well, also, I'm going to say because, like you said before, the one factor is UConn. So it's UConn. So if you're UConn right there, you're already up there. And then if you're a decent ball player from UConn, oh yeah, you're much better than any other player that's ever come into a league because you went to UConn. Right.
Well, that's the whole point about Paige Bueckers. The reason she got so much publicity her freshman year is because she had UConn privilege, and it wasn't so much that she was white. It was very little because she was white. It was because she was a great player, and because she had UConn privilege. Mm-hmm. So they went on and actually talked about who's the face of the league, and then she started criticizing Juju Watkins' play, which was surprising. And she basically said what everyone else would say. She has more turnovers than assists. She relies too much on driving to the basket and getting to the free throw line. Shooting percentage is down. Now, it went up over the last 2 games because she played against 0-9 teams. But all that was true. Like, she hadn't played that last game before she did this videotape where she was 7 of 9 for threes. Mm-hmm. So she said all that, and yet she did not say one thing about Paige Bueckers having any kind of deficiency in her game. She talked about her like she has a perfect game and no weaknesses. Now, even Michael Jordan had weaknesses. As small as they were, he had weaknesses in his game. Right. So she talked about Caitlin Clark and Paige Bueckers, and she compared them to Steph Curry and LeBron James. So she put Steph Curry comparison to Caitlin Clark, and she put LeBron to Paige Bueckers. And basically she talked about that she had efficiency and the defensive part of her game, and you're getting the full package. She didn't say it about Caitlin Clark. You're getting the full package with Paige, the well-roundedness of her game, again, her defensive efficiency, her ability to dish more, which was, then she mentioned Caitlin Clark's passing too, and the well-rounded package. She's basically saying she has this better well-rounded game than Caitlin Clark, and there's no flaws that she sees. She didn't say that, but she didn't say anything bad in this whole broadcast about her. She said that, of course, about Juju because she wants Paige to be the face of the league right now. Right. Because she loves Paige for whatever reason.
Which is fine. I mean, it's okay. That's fine. You like her as a player. That's great. But you can give her props. She's going to be a great basketball player. But then there's a point in life where you got to say, okay, you got to stop and say, okay, let's pause and see how she's going to do and how things are in comparing her. I mean, that's the whole thing. And I guess, people have this knee jerk, like I said before, as soon as they see some athlete doing well in basketball, oh, who are they compare him to? Michael Jordan, which is not, no. Why are you comparing him to, like I said, Anthony Edwards? Oh, he reminds me of Michael Jordan. No, he does not. He doesn't remind me of Michael Jordan. Sorry.
Well, the thing is, she said all this great stuff about her personality in her game and didn't say anything about Caitlin Clark other than that she can pass well and that she handled the pressure well. That's all she said positive about. And she didn't, I almost think she said almost nothing positive about Juju Watkins. Right. But she didn't like jump on her case. She just said, okay, she's struggling with a few things in her game. So she's going to have to apologize for this by tomorrow, Rob. The over-under is 1 day on this apology for Juju Watkins because the black community will not.
The over-under, yeah. I'll bet the house on that.
And she didn't talk anything about Caitlin Clark's cool personality or chill, her sense of humor that she shows and how well she handles the press and stuff like that. And, all that stuff that she displayed and her maturity beyond her. She's shown more maturity than anybody, Rob, the way she handled the WNBA this year.
Well, so I don't understand WNBA and how she dealt with coming into the league and how she had to deal with her coach, a coach who didn't really care for her or was jealous of her or didn't know how to use her. I mean, so she had all these factors going in, and you get people, saying all this stuff, So she just kind of this. Like I said, she really is a mature person as far as dealing with the pressure, which is pretty awesome.
You watch this videotape, you think she's got the biggest woman crush on Paige in the history of mankind. And I don't know, Rob. it's interesting that she said there's this instant comparison, and I have some reasons as to why. What she doesn't realize is it's always being done by Paige Bueckers fans to Caitlin Clark. I don't think she even realizes that. So like her reason would be different than ours, or at least Caitlin Clark fans, not just ours, but the two of us, because she thinks it's the other way around, but she's not. Like I said, we're not comparing her. We don't need to. She's a bigger name.
Do you ever hear us comparing Caitlin Clark to anybody? No, we don't do that because
only when they compare it to Caitlin Clark, and then we respond to it because the comparison's not true. There's only one Caitlin Clark. There's only one generational superstar, not necessarily in ability, but in terms of being a draw. There's only one. And it wasn't ever going to be Paige Bueckers, and it's not going to be Paige Bueckers in the WNBA. It was never going to be. But I will say that, well, she's saying in such a way that she has a better all-around game than Caitlin Clark and that she has no flaws. That's not what her coach Gino thinks. Just yesterday,
that's not what he said.
He goes, when Paige doesn't have the ball, she stands around all the time. And he said that at I think it was halftime live at a game against a lousy team.
Right.
And then other people put out podcasts and stuff like that and said, and I said this before, she's very efficient. Yes. Her assist to turnover ratio is 3.5. She said 4.0. She exaggerated. It's 3.5. She even said that in her podcast. But I think she's too conservative in her shooting and her passing. I think she'd be a better game if she opened up her game. And she's too hesitant to take control of the game and create her own shot and do like that. I think she's kind of like only take shots when it's there. And I think she'd be a better player if she did. And I think that's a weakness in her game. I don't think it's a major flaw, but it's certainly a flaw. She doesn't play at the same pace and energy level that Caitlin Clark plays. So that's, I don't know if that's a flaw,
well,
but
it's like I said before, I think like I said before, Mark, I think it's because of the coaching. Gino's not that type of player where he lets a player do like free ride and do like Caitlin Clark. He's not that kind of coach. He's more of
absolutely.
Which is more. Which I kind of like. He's a team coach where everybody on the team shares the ball, gets the ball. There's nobody who's the limelight person. So he's had great players come through, his system. So he keeps it that way on the low. But like you said, it's kind of like what Sides was doing with Caitlin Clark, was holding her back. Kind of, you got a thoroughbred out there with Bueckers, but you won't let her release her do her thing, which we've seen that she can do when she wasn't playing under him.
Yes, people said she played more freely in high school and with more flair, and he's reined her in. And now it looks like he reined her in too much, that she's not free enough, and that she's not playing. She would be playing better if he let her loose a little bit. And it's partly his fault. I can see that right. She would be a better player if he let her get a little Caitlin Clark in her. But he can't have it both ways, Yeah. I mean, that doesn't mean she should stand around when she doesn't have the ball. But I mean, everyone does that. You can only run around so often. I mean, not everybody has Steph Curry's energy where he can, even at his age, can run around and always trying to get open for a 3-point shot. But it's hard to do that and then play, great defense. In terms of an all-around game, yeah, she does have a really good all-around game. But the first one to say, she doesn't have any major flaws. I'll say that. But Caitlin Clark doesn't really have any major flaws. She's got some medium flaws, like her on-ball defense and some of the turnovers. She doesn't have any major flaws either. She doesn't have a great 2-point game, but she has a 2-point game. It's not as good as Paige's, but her 3-point shooting and her logo threes are way better. Her passing is way better than Paige. I think Paige is a better defender, but Paige isn't a great defender. She's not a lockdown defender. So, we'll see if Paige covers Caitlin Clark when they meet in the WNBA. Because so far, Gino has saved Paige from covering Caitlin Clark. So if she's so great and such a great all-around player and so much of a better defender than Caitlin Clark, why did both times UConn played Iowa, Paige did not cover Caitlin Clark? That's what I want to know.
Right. They had I forgot they had another player guard.
No, Kristen Williams, I think her name was, when they were freshmen. And last year, Nika Mule covered Caitlin Clark. So I'll be interested to see whether the WNBA coach protects Paige or whether she has to cover Caitlin Clark. Because Gino, maybe smart coaching in some ways, but guess what? When Michael Jordan played in the finals against Clyde Drexler, they covered each other. Okay?
Right.
Clyde Drexler didn't shy away from covering Michael Jordan.
No.
I have nothing against Paige Bueckers. She actually does seem like, other than her speech, I didn't really care for it. The ESPY Awards. I think it went too far. I think she seems like a nice lady. She's friends with Caitlin Clark and all that, but she's not this perfect player any more than Juju Watkins or Caitlin Clark are a perfect player. So they're not immune to not having criticism or pretending because they have an all-around game they have a flawless game, because they don't.
Well, just
or that
don't,
they're
like
as popular as Caitlin Clark, because they're not.
Just don't go too crazy like she's the biggest star on the planet. This planet's pretty big, and I'm sorry, she's not the best on this planet. I'm sorry.
But it's not even a question of the best either. It's a question of she's just not. She would never have been that popular. She just doesn't have the flair that Caitlin Clark. She doesn't have the it factor that Caitlin Clark does. So she's delusional to think that. And on the planet, are you kidding me? Like Lionel Messi? Are you serious? Like I think 1/10 the amount of people, maybe actually 1/100th amount of people know who Paige Bueckers is compared to Lionel Messi around the world. You know?
Right. And they
Caitlin Clark is not a bigger draw in the world right now than Lionel Messi. Lionel Messi is the biggest name in sports in the world. I think, he's at the end of his career. I think after the next Olympics, Caitlin Clark will be the biggest name in sports on the planet. But you didn't even say the biggest sports star. She said the biggest star on the planet. The biggest star, bigger than all the movie stars. Everything. It's
bigger than Denzel. Come on now, you bigger than Denzel.
Seriously, she would have been a bigger star than Taylor Swift. Seriously,
right? Taylor Swift. Yeah.
Think about it. Taylor Swift is the biggest star of the planet probably right now.
Yeah, she's the
bigger star. You can't be serious. She's delusional. This is insanity, Rob.
Yeah, it's sad.
That door is so wide open, and they're kicking Caitlin Clark's butt, and they're just trying to push it out that door. Nonstop.
Yeah,
Juju Watkins and Paige Bueckers, nonstop. People people turn it around and twist around what we're saying because when this happens, and no, we're just saying you're going too far. We agree. There's more than enough room for great players and more than enough room for popular players, but don't say they're on the same level when they're not, because we're going to call you out for it. Because there's statistics in front of you. There's facts in front of you.
Right.
You look like an idiot. Let's be honest. That's my take. I'm sticking to it. So Rob, anyways, I feel like I lost brain cells because I listened to Elle Duncan again. I don't know if I can do it anymore. I don't know where I lose more brain cells when I listen to Elle Duncan or I listen to Cheryl Swoops. I can't figure out which one.
Well, I don't know why you would listen to her. That's on you. That's on you there. That's on you right there.
What can I do? What can I say?
It's on you. But I wouldn't anything she says.
Well, you don't listen to her either, but if it comes up in the news, you listen to her. So we'll see. Hopefully Cheryl Swoops will just go away. But Elle Duncan's not going away, Rob. They like her too much at ESPN. They got her front and center at 6:00 every day, Monday through Friday. Cheryl Swoops, maybe she'll go away. We'll see. She's got her own podcast now. I don't know. I don't have a lot of hope for that either. Anyways, let us know what you guys think down below. If you like this video, hit the like button and share this video if you can. And if you want, subscribe to our channel. Please do so. If you haven't subscribed yet, hit that notification bell when you do so you get notified of our next videos. And join us for our live show. That's every Monday, 6 to 8 Eastern, except for major holidays. And you can call them for that show, so it's pretty cool. And then there's also, if you want to donate to our channel, there's super chats and super thanks down below. And there's a link to PayPal. And we'll see you in the next video.
Peace out.